And good morning, Tuesday morning, April 1st. So, quick review of yesterday's trades. So, first trade of the morning was we shorted the Australian dollar. It broke out of a range. Australian dollar usually follows the stock market um, up and down during the day. The market was down big in the morning. Australian dollar was a little bit late to the party, but it broke out of a major range, so I thought there was some opportunity there. And we got a little bit, not a lot. And then the NASDAQ, which came in after a couple days down, came in open much lower. So I thought there was an opportunity for an upside trade. I caught a little bit. I caught maybe 1/3 of the whole move. It was quite a reversal yesterday, as you'll see on the chart. So we're up 19,600 yesterday. We're at 39,089. Um, and just to give you some context, so the simulated account I'm trading is $1 million. It started off. It's now, as you see at the bottom here, 1,039,089. But to give you an idea of the actual capital that's being used, when I do my margin calculator, you can see this 0.1 here. I'm basically multiplying it, the margin requirements times 0.1, so 10%. So each one of these trades that I've made uh, required about $100,000 in margin for each one of these. So, for example, Australian dollar with $100,000 in margin, I made $13,000. So the return on capital of about 13% in one day. So you can see these are quite leveraged products. That's why we don't use all the margin. We don't use $1 million in margin. Uh, Trade it. We just use a smaller amount. So in terms of the account value, it wasn't 13%. We're up 1.3%. The account was up 1.3% in the Australian dollar, and NASDAQ 0.7%. So that comes out to about being up about 2% for the day. Review for today. So now that we had this big range expansion down, so just to show you the NASDAQ on the daily, you can see this big. We opened, well, this is, of course, where we opened Sunday night. But anyways, by Monday morning, we were near the lows. And this trade came back all the way during the day. So basically the trade I made, which it was a rough sled up. It was not an easy ride up. Just to show you on this shorter term chart how choppy it is coming up. But this is what you expect in a market. But yeah, I probably bought somewhere in here in this area once it looked like things were starting to turn around. We got some new momentum highs here, but you can see how choppy it is going up. And yeah, I think probably I probably sold somewhere in here. So you can see it was just to get out for the day. Probably what I should have done is I should have sold two and held on to two, or sold three and held on to one. But like I said, I don't sit there and watch the markets all day. It's not conducive to being able to work every single day. But if you compare that to on the days that it goes down, where you've just got these flushes down like this, it's just it's a bit different. So that sort of shows you that the market is still fighting back against going up. It doesn't want to go up right now. But look at these bonds overnight, just shooting up. This big overnight. Uh, this is a gap up from the close, so it literally just gapped open this massive amount. um, you can see here it is. So this is so far hasn't hasn't even stopped to take a breath. Um, so we'll see what's going to happen. But this is an indicator of a recession, if there ever was one, when it's really shooting up, markets are shooting down. Copper's also flagging that. Copper's the most economically sensitive commodity, and it's been weak now for a couple of days. It was the strongest, and now it's the weakest. So there are issues there with tariffs and imports. You know, we import a lot of copper, so I think that's one of the things that was driving it up. And then seasonally, it's also weak. Usually, the big uh, corporate interests buy a lot of copper in advance of the summer construction season in the north and want to secure the copper supplies to get through the summer. So they'll um, use a lot of the May and July futures contracts to buy. And usually that runs out of steam by May at the latest. The copper rally runs out. It's only April 1st, so there could be a little bit of upside left, but that might be it, just because of the weak economy. We got nothing much going on in the currencies. Australian dollar came back. The Canadian dollar actually held its lows from yesterday. So, but you know, these currencies, they just move so slow that if it's not a breakout or some other sort of event or big range expansion, then it's not a lot to do with them. Soybeans, corn, and wheat still trading near lows, but like I said, I'm watching soybeans. Um, I finally got that sell up I was looking for. So I had this It got the sell off I was looking for. This isn't super strong yet. It might be building some strength, and then you can see it recovered here. So just based on this little bit of a recovery, it's holding these um, its first bounce level. Um, so this is just sort of something I'm watching, not ready to buy yet, but could develop into something a little bit bigger. So we'll see how long it takes to make a new high. If it gets up there real quick, we'll have to just buy it. But it might give us a couple days here to coil around before it moves higher. Um, there's corn, there's wheat, which look sort of similar. Coffee, so just in the past few minutes. So it went down, it broke these major lows down here, and then it's shooting right up. So this almost looks like these you know funds are playing games. This is what happens too with the illiquid market is they will take them down, they'll hit all the stops, and then they'll shoot it up. So this just shows you there's a huge difference. I mean the same gets done in the stock market, but it's on a longer time frame. This just literally happened in the past few hours. Um, this market has traded 4,500 contracts today versus 200,000 for the S&P futures, for example. So anyway, this is quite a little move here. So we're going to stand aside and not mess with that today, I don't think. But it's what you would call a failed breakout trade, which tends to be really strong. And if I was sitting here focused on coffee all day, I might have caught this, but see what's showing up here on my radar here. It's got consecutive ups, but it doesn't have a break breakout of highs here, so we'll see. You can see the stock market. This is moving up strong. Sorry, the bond market moving up strong. Stock market weak this morning. What else? Euro, pound down. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar weaker. Japanese yen moving up, and along with the bonds. Sort of what's going on this morning. Um, so the major markets that I'm really interested in right now, stock market, might need to rotate back and forth for a couple days after a big sell down and come back. Um, Silver is not following gold higher, so Once gold turns down, silver will crash, but silver doesn't normally crash without gold uh, having it rough. And lately, when it's crashed, it's come right. You have had to be quick to get out. Soybeans, cross fingers for one more day. The cocoa market has been moving sideways for a long time, and normally these commodities, when they're at depressed levels, or levels of near the cost of production, I just don't even watch them. But these is very elevated levels. I mean, historically, cocoa's trading at $4,000 a ton. It's at $8,000 a ton. So this is much more interesting coil than where they've found support here. Serious support. So there's buyers in here at this level. So, but yeah, once it breaks out of this coil, this is definitely something you want to be involved with. And it is testing it a little bit this morning, but it's still not interesting yet. Still just moving sideways. So we'll keep an eye on cocoa and sugar. Also, it's sort of like soybeans. It's near its lows, but a little bit of something might be forming here. Um, we had this strong move up, tested it. We had put a buy stop in here. It did not get hit. Good. It came back down here. This could be forming a base here. So if we get a strong move to the upside here, we might want to be buyers. This might be a little bit longer term. Um, but this is when I think of sugar, sometimes it's the first one to move in these commodity bull markets. So gold, of course, being the number one favorite of the commodity bull markets, but sugar is showing that. Coffee and cocoa are at elevated levels. Currencies are not showing that. Copper is showing that, and this crude oil is interesting. Um, this is interesting because let's just look at this different time frame here. But this is interesting that this happened on the last day of the month. So you could see that for some reason on the last day of the month we had this happen in crude oil. So we'll see if that means anything. If that's an omen, if that was just a short covering at the end of the month, or a lot of buying from the government at the end of the month, or what was going on here. But it shot up $2 yesterday. Um, so we'll see if this means anything. Um, but it's above the level where the government said it's going to support it. So that's interesting. But we'll see if that means anything. Just sort of watching, keeping an eye on to see what happens. Um, so that's the review. So no big strong indicators today. Not a lot of 3-bar triangles to break out of. Silver, like I said, I don't think it's going to do much. British pound has been sideways, and cocoa has been sideways, and cotton. But the rest of the markets have not really been coiling. Look, no inside bars yesterday, not a single one. Everything moving outside of the prior day's range. We had a few 3-bar triangles, just a couple here, but nothing to write home about. So, anyways, maybe a quiet day. We'll see. Checking out.